What's up, everybody? Welcome to the round 17 player ratings video. This is a very interesting one. As I'm doing the exercise of going through the players individually, I had noticed quite a few of these players have received pass marks or more, but I'm so disappointed in the performance. So this is going to be a real test of the exercise. For those of you who have never seen a video, welcome to the channel. This is really just the start of the conversation where I look at every single player individually and grade them out of 10 relative to really my gut instinct on how I thought they played, their role in the side, their standing in the team, their level of experience, and what we as fans, or what I as a fan, expect of them, and how they perform that on the day. And the idea is for me to start this here and you guys to make any adjustments that need to be made in the comments below. So please understand that these are not going to be right. These are not going to be wrong. These are just going to be part of a discussion between me to you and the audience. So if you are returning, welcome. Love to have you here. Love your input. And if you want to put your own ratings in the comments below, please. They are absolutely welcomed. Let's start as the team was named: Stocker, Wiedering, Williams. Stocker, I thought he was, okay. I guess he's learning that craft behind the ball. We know why they put him there. He's learning the defensive side of his game, which will hopefully hold him in good stead. He wasn't terrible, I didn't think anyway. I didn't think he was too bad. He had that one really poor kick, which just came off the wrong part of the boot and hit Tui, lace out, and Tui kicks a goal. But I just gave Stocks a pass mark, just a bare pass mark. He's very young and early in his development and whatnot. Wiedering, and this is where I got a little confused, because I'm going to tell you straight out, Wiedering and Walsh, I gave them both a 10. I thought Wiedering and Walsh were clearly the best players for us on the day, and then the next best were a long way away. And I wanted to really make sure there was a distance between Wiedering and Walsh and the rest of the team. The context of Wiedering's game is that Jones is out. Wiedering has played with Jones in that back 50 for a long time. There's no other real genuine tall there. So you combine that fact with the fact that Wiedering is patrolling the defence, communicating the scheme and the mechanisms behind the ball, and playing on Tom Hawkins, who he kept goalless. And I just can't speak highly enough of his performance. The kudos will go to Sam Walsh, but for me, I want to give it to Jacob Wiedering, because I think he deserves just as much praise for his efforts on Tom Hawkins and to keep that back six from not completely... the damn wall didn't completely break down and we didn't get heavily scored against. And that could be for a range of factors. We put more players behind the ball and whatnot. But I just felt like Jacob Wiedering needed, all the credit that I'm giving him. So I gave him a 10. You're happy to dispute that in the comments. I'm happy to chat about that. Zach Williams, he's all right. He's had the 22 touches and 547 metres gained. And yes, he helped us drive the ball forward, but I'm just left wanting more. I don't know. I think it's the expectation. I expect more from him. I expected Zach Williams to come into this team and provide us with, another real layer of just elite talent and ball use and whatnot. And I'm just left wanting more. And maybe I'm being a little petty and maybe I'm being unreasonable. I just don't think I am, considering he's a marquee player for us and he's a marquee signing and what I thought we were getting in him. And I just, he wasn't poor. I gave him a 6 in the end. He's definitely done his job, but I kind of want to see him doing more than that. And I don't know, I'm just left wanting more. So I gave him a 6. That's just kind of where my instinct led me to place him. Sardi, he had the 25 touches. I thought he worked really hard all day. I thought he was one of our better players and one of our better defenders. He runs all day. He actually ran really hard. I was watching him quite a lot yesterday, and he really stood out to me personally. 25 touches, 472 metres gained. I gave him a 6 as well for his game. I sort of tossed between a 6 and a 7. I landed at 6. Maybe it's a little harsh. I don't know. Again, that's for you to decide. Plowman, I thought when we lose, he's just a whipping boy. But I'm going to give him some kudos. He played a lot taller this time. Usually he plays on the smaller guys, but he had to play on, the resting Ruckman or Radaglia. Whoever it was, and I thought he did a reasonable job. Didn't let Radaglia off the leash. He gave up one mark, I think, early in the game, and it started looking ominous, like, oh god, there's a big mismatch. But I thought Plowman was okay. Some of his decision making and some of his errors were there as well in those old moments, but overall, I didn't think he was too bad. And considering he had to really fill in for Liam Jones and play that role, I thought he was okay. So I gave him a 6. Newman, much of the same. Thought he was okay. 21 touches, went at 81%, used the ball relatively well. He wasn't poor. He just wasn't great. I thought he definitely got his job done and then some. So I gave him a 6. Samo, Cripps, Noons. Samo, I loved seeing him get on the scoreboard, kick that goal. I've been crying out for it and hoping it would come just to get that spark back and hopefully remind him of who he is. He's ended up having the 17 touches. He went behind the ball a little bit. He played in the midfield. He played forward. It was good to see. 17 touches, 1 goal, 1. Really needed to kick that second one. That would have been just the icing on the cake, but it didn't come. I will say this, he's definitely got some work to do in the fitness department and the work rate department, and I want to challenge him to do that because he's got the opportunity now. He's back playing in that role where he's more comfortable, and I think the onus is now on Sam Petrevski-Seton to get himself into the best condition of his career, and I don't think he's in that condition at all. So the challenge is on him to work harder, and I think he's got it in him. I want to see a little bit more of that ferocity that we saw at the start of his career, and maybe that spark has gone a little bit. Now he's playing a little bit more of a role where he's instinctual. And so, yeah. Now, having said that, I gave him a 6 for his game. The goal was really the icing on the cake for me. So it was good to see him. And he won a little bit more of the ball. But a guy like him, we need him to get the ball 20 plus times a game. He's a quality player. So, I don't know. That might be a little... I don't know. We'll see. Cripps... saw him go through a fitness test before the game, and that was interesting. I found his game really hard to grade because, obviously in the back of my head, I know he's sore. But then at the same time, he himself has said, once you're declared fit to play, you're up for scrutiny and all of that. So, he had Mark O'Connor on him, who did a pretty good job. Cripps just had the 19 touches at the end of the day, and 13 of those contested, 15 handballs, 4 kicks. So he's playing to his strengths. He wasn't able to lift us. He just wasn't able to play better. I don't know. I gave him a pass mark. I gave him a 5 because, again, the standards are there and he's the captain and all of that. It's just hard. Part of me says that I'm being way too harsh on him, but the other part says, well, he was pretty much beaten by his opponent. So, I don't know. I'm neither here or there. I'm really confused about this one. So, I'll let you, again, do your thing. Jack Noons... got a bit of criticism, but he's had 24 touches. He won quite a bit of the ball, laid 5 tackles, which was the equal second most of anyone in the side. I thought I don't expect a lot from Jack Noons, but when he gives us 20 plus disposals and provides an option and marks the ball around the ground, I'm happy with that. I gave him a 7. I don't expect that performance from him, and the fact that he's given it is for me more than what I look for Jack Noons. So well done to him, and thought that was one of his better games. He's so unassuming though. When I looked at the stats this morning and I saw 24 disposals, I couldn't really believe it. But it's that he's just that kind of guy. He's unassuming, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it at all. So I think he needs to be rewarded. Next up is Ed Curnow, Lockie Fogarty, and Eddie Betts. Ed Curnow, he's playing in a new role. He's definitely not in that midfield mix as much as what he was at the start of the year, which I think is important because we've got Dow and Kennedy now who are getting those opportunities. Ed was okay, 22 touches. He really ran hard and provided an option around the ground, which is what I want to give him credit for. He took 8 marks, which is not really a hallmark of his game in terms of marking, but the work rate obviously is. I definitely thought he did his job. I gave him a 6. That's how I felt. Fogarty, this was an interesting one because he didn't win anywhere near enough of the ball. We had the 7 possessions, but it's not always about possessions, and I understand that. But his tackling was there, team high 7 tackles. The intent was there, and 21-year-old youngish player. He's definitely not playing as well as what he was at the start of the year. I just gave him a bare pass mark. I think the tackles are what won me over in the end, and I was happy with that. So I gave him a pass. Eddie was unfortunate. It's very clear with Eddie. It's kind of like a 9 possessions to 12 possessions, and if he kicks a couple of goals, it's pretty much a tick. It's a pass mark. If he doesn't, it's not. In this case, it was 8 possessions, no shots on goal. Yeah, pressure was there, pressure acts, all of that, but I didn't think he got his job done. So I gave Eddie a 4, but obviously still love Eddie, so don't take it to heart. Next up is Mackay, Martin, and Silvani. Harry, I'm going to tell you now, Harry is frustrating me a lot. He kicked 2 goals, 3, 5 shots on goal. Some of the shots were questionable. there were two occasions, speaking of Eddie Betts, maybe it's not his fault, there were two occasions where he had Eddie Betts open for either a handball where he could run into goal, and Harry chose not to. And I think it was selfish, and I think it's part of his learning, and I think, he signed the big contract, he's a marquee player, and that's what you want your forwards to do, to have that I'm the man mentality, but you just got to be able to pick your spots and pick your moments, and Harry will learn. He's still quite young in his development, and I am going to be patient with him, but while the mistakes are happening, it's frustrating, and I just think he needs to learn from that. It's going to take time, but 11 touches, 4 marks. He actually tackled relatively well, Harry, so I do want to give him some credit for that. And he's kicked a couple of goals. I just don't want him to get too focused on the Coleman and himself. It's just a line ball. It's hard. So I gave him a pass mark for his game, but I did definitely notice the selfishness on those two occasions, and I hope that he learns from that and gets better from that, because he's hopefully going to be a leader of the football club. Jack Martin. This is just getting. I thought he was primed for a big game because he's had a couple of weeks back in the side now. It was NAIDOC week. We had Sid Jackson present before the game and during the week, and for all our Indigenous boys, I mean, maybe I can't comment on this, but I just feel like there was a little bit of extra motivation there. Sid Jackson there, and they've got the ties to him, and Jack Martin does not work hard enough for me. Now, if he's injured, and if the injury from early in the season has hindered his ability to display the work rate and the ferocity that he was displaying last year, then don't fucking play him. Don't play. I don't care what game it is. There's going to be an Indigenous round, a night. We're always celebrating our Indigenous players. So I don't think the excuse of, but it was NAIDOC week and that's why Jack Martin played. I don't think that is relevant here. But he's not working hard enough. He's another marquee signing for me. Not to the level of Zach Williams, but right there. And I'm not seeing enough work rate. And it happened, if you look at the first contest of the game when it went inside our forward 50, he misread where the ball was going to go, and then he was caught 5 to 10 metres behind his direct opponent. And then when it came time to chase, he had no explosiveness off the mark. And again, don't. If it's injury, then he shouldn't play. If he's unable to do it, Josh Honey in that position, I'm telling you, he's sprinting for those contests, and the criticism is going to be warranted for Jack Martin. It's 10 touches, 5 marks, 1 tackle, no shots on goal. You can argue that Harry burned him in the first quarter, should have kicked the ball inboard to him. Okay, maybe, but we're really just reaching for something here now, and he's Jack Martin. He's better than what he displayed last night for me. So I thought he lost on the night poorly, and I gave him a 3, and I think he needs to be much better, and he needs to take accountability, and if he cannot chase hard and be the player that he is, then he shouldn't play for me, and that's just how I see it. Maybe I'm naive in saying that and thinking that, but from what I'm watching as a fan, he doesn't work hard enough. That's just kind of what I'm going to leave it at there. Jack Silvani, his last 2 weeks have been really impressive. 17 touches and 6 marks yesterday, obviously chopped out in the ruck here and there as well. The thing with Jack was we knew the effort was there, but we needed to see some production, and I think he's given that to us in the last 2 weeks. 17 touches is quite impressive. He's getting amongst it. Would love to see him hit the scoreboard, obviously, but given that he's got some things on his mind with rucking duties and whatnot, I found a way to give him a 6. I mean, the fact that he's getting amongst it and really winning his own ball is important for me and part of his development. So, and the fact that he's obviously, having to chop out in the ruck now, which is not his position, it gives me a little bit more leniency with him. So I gave him a 6. The followers, De Koning, Dow and Walsh. De Koning, thought he did a relatively good job considering that Casbolt was a laid out and he would have been the ruck relief there. It's good. These are good repetitions for Tom. These are really good repetitions. I think really the last part of 2021 is going to set him up for 2022 with hopefully a full pre-season and no injury interruption. And he's a crucial piece to this puzzle moving forward. And I thought he held his own. I thought he did some good things. I thought the 6 marks, I don't think he's taken more than 6 marks in a game this year or maybe ever. I could be wrong on that, but that was something that I took a lot of confidence in. Laid tackles, got the hit outs, didn't win the hit out battle, but he was equal with Stanley on the ground. It wasn't a big hit out day for either side. So I thought he did his job and then some. I gave him a 7 for his game. Paddy Dow, he didn't go completely into his shell like he has in the past when he comes up against good sides. He still had the 17 disposals. He got caught holding the ball. I can't remember. It might have been in the second quarter. He tried to do the sidestep, and he just needs to realise when to use the sidestep, and that's not in open space. But that's okay. It was part of his learning. He's getting there. I need to hopefully see him go forward next week because he's had 2 solid games, and he sort of had this was an okay-ish performance, but we're really reaching, and so next week he's got to be able to lift and respond and really dominate. That's what he's got to be able to do. So I gave him a pass mark for his game. I didn't think he failed on the day. I just didn't think he dominated on the day. Maybe 5's a little low, but I don't know. We'll see. Sam Walsh, like I said before, gave him a 10. Really just based on effort and endeavour and never giving up. And he is everything I, as a fan, want to see from the players. And 36 touches, 8 marks, 2 goals, just kept going all day. I actually gave the player of the game to Jacob Wiedering, but it could have gone either way. It honestly could have gone either way. So yeah, Walshy just keeps on going on, and I'm proud of him. Gave him a 10 for his game. Well done. The bench was Kennedy, Williamson, Setterfield, and Owies. Kennedy, I always felt when I saw that Setterfield had come into the team, I felt like it would impact Kennedy for whatever reason. But he's had the 18 touches, 5 marks, 5 tackles. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. And I think this is all just a reminder that a lot of these guys are getting pass marks, but we're really just still not good enough. So I don't know. I just felt like Kennedy did his job at the bare minimum, and so I gave him a 5. Willow was very much the same. Had the 15 touches, which is an increase on what he's done previously. No tackles, which was disappointing. That's for me the hallmark of Tom Williamson. Is he's a tenacious tackling guy, and he wants to get in physical and get in the contest, and he wasn't able to do that. But I thought he helped drive us forward from defence pretty well, so I gave him a bare pass mark. Obviously, he was also a very late inclusion. So now, how much did they know that they might have been needed to be available, required, I should say? I don't know, but whatever. Gave him a 5. Setterfield, gave him a 3. A lot of criticism will come his way this week, and the part where I agree with is he is not intense enough at the football or the contest. He doesn't want to insert himself. He's not doing it like he was last year. 2020, if you remember, we voted him as our most improved player. And it's really hard to see him play like that last night. Now, should he have played? That's the question. He's coming off an injury. Was that the opportunity to play somebody else, like a Honey or whatever? I don't know. I really don't know. But the way that Setterfield attacked the contest was not good enough for me. He needs to be. When I say he needs to be harder, it's because I've seen him be harder at the contest, and tackling was one of the real hallmarks of his game in 2020. And just because you all moved away from the inside midfield, I don't think that means you can't be tackling anymore. You can still get in the thick of it. I don't know. I just felt like he was really poor, and I do feel for him because maybe it was a selection issue. Maybe he shouldn't have been selected. Obviously, he's gonna play. If he gets selected, he's gonna want to play. But was he ready? That's the question. So I don't know. Finally, Matt Owies, he wasn't able to hit the scoreboard this time around. 0 goals, 2. Had the 10 touches, 4 tackles, 4 marks. He tries. He does try. I sort of tossed up between a 4 and a 5. I felt bad giving him a 4 because he's still in that early phase of his career/development, but a pass mark would be going against really what his role is. So I gave him a 4. I don't know. I'm so confused. And those are the player ratings, and they feel weird to do because I've given so many pass marks and above, but that was not an acceptable performance. Maybe it was, and had we kicked straight, we'd be talking differently now. But it was a weird week, weird game, weird player ratings. I just have a weird vibe right now, so I don't know. I'll leave it up to you. Please feel free to share your opinions down below about the ratings in terms of what they need to be changed to, if anything, and we can help refine what we feel about this game. And, we'll go from there. So with that, enjoy, and see you next week. Go the Mighty Blues.